So I wasn't really sure of what to talk about, if anything. Um, but I'm listening to this person, very, very well researched and read, talk about the 12 of the universe, laws of the universe. And it kind of annoys me because they're more like suggestions. Some of it even like kind of kind of bumps into itself in a sense. There are parts of it that are more based in physics, like universal physics, like law of vibration. That one is pretty uniform. Like you're not getting around that or away from that. That can be demonstrated through experiment. It can be demonstrated repetitively. It is a proven scientific fact, right? But then there are other things like the law of correspondence. That's a suggestion. It doesn't necessarily have to work the way that it is explained or the way that it's understood by those of us that are in this place, whatever this place is. And there's many different versions of that not being the way that it is explained, like the concept of opposites attracting. That's not always the case, right? Opposites don't always attract, and then same polarizations don't always attract either. It's chaotic. The realm we're in, the universe is chaotic. So the fact that we believe that there are laws is strange to me. We have observations, many of them that can be repetitively demonstrated, but those that doesn't make them laws, right? It doesn't make them laws. It makes them repetitive observations. I mean, you can. There are things that we all have seen, some of which we don't even share with other people because we're so afraid to say something out of line or to say something outside of the box. There are more people now saying things. In fact, I'll go a step further and say there are people now that would rather like make up shit. They'll make up things that they've seen or heard or experienced because it's so popular now to be within the conspiratorial realm of existence. People will make up a story about being visited by aliens. People will make up a story about their house being haunted and them seeing ghosts every night. It doesn't mean that those things don't exist. I'm not saying that they don't. I don't know what those things are, so those words are just kind of like placeholders. It really bothers me how much people think they know things for sure. All that you know is this: you. We use words for things, and it's helpful to communicate them to other people, but you don't know what that is. You look up and you see a sky. Sky is a word. It is a placeholder for a thing that you really don't have the capable, it's not tangible to you. You can't touch the sky. At least not literally, maybe figuratively with the right molecules, but you can't touch the sky. You don't know what space is, right? And I know that's something that I've repeated quite often. It's because I know that so internally, so intensely, that it's almost offensive to me when people are like upset when you say, I don't know what space is, dude. When you say space, that means nothing to me. I don't know what the sky is. I look up and I see blue or gray or dark dark blue or black or black with little speckles in it. I don't know what that is. It's very strange to me that we can't differentiate between laws and observations, laws and suggestions, laws and things that have been noticed repetitively throughout moments, right? Because even time is time Is time a reality or a suggestion? We can exist without. If we were to all lose our watches and phones and technologies, everything that keeps time, the only thing that we would have is essentially shars, like the Egyptians had. Days. Shars are days. They're not years, by the way. So, even that, we feel, we let institutions tell us specific things like Egyptian, you know, majesty lived for thousands of years, when in reality, shars are days, dude. Like, they had some stuff. They definitely had some stuff that we don't have, but they didn't live necessarily for thousands of years outside of what we kind of see now. There's a possibility for those that have the means and money to live much longer than us, but they do it in secret, right? They don't do it outwardly. Is there a specific celebrity that you can point out that has lived for hundreds of years in the open? There is not. Um, that's, I don't know, it's strange to me. Everyone needs to know so badly. And I understand that because I have an urge to know, but it's 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 morphed intensely throughout my studies. My understanding of what knowing is. That's why I don't spell it the same anymore. I don't use a K, I use a G because the K almost kind of insinuates an institutional knowledge that is given to you by someone else that doesn't know shit. They're just going along with something else that someone wrote in a book. It's not to say that books are bad. I'm not at all saying that. There's a lot of people with the whole reading is fun and fundamental. I don't know what's up with that trend. I think it's very funny though. I got in an argument with two guys for like an hour. I went on their podcast and they just kept saying they kept saying don't read because all of the knowledge is within you. Well, if that was the case, then we wouldn't be dumb, right? There's many of us here moving around and doing things that are dumb, like, and I guess that kind of reminds me of that same principle. Like, we have these things that we call laws, and these things that are suggested to us that we take so religiously. What what are we doing? We're living so weird. And maybe that is a law of this place. Maybe that is the only law, is that this place is something that we don't understand, but we have such an intense desire to understand and control. Even people that have lots of money and lots of status and capability, they're not in control of shit, dude. Someone can walk up and stab them to death. Not saying I wish that on anybody, but that is a pure lack of control. You have no control. You can try to balance things in your direction with, like, in that scenario, bodyguards or concealed carry license or a tiger, whatever. You can do things to try to balance that, but that isn't control. That's preparation, right? It's preparation. It's not control. So I don't really get there's like a resurgence of mysticism that's going on now that I really love. But within that, we're not learning a lesson. We're doing the same, to do the same shit that those that wrote these alchemic and esoteric and, philosophical thoughts, waxing poetic about what this is and its law and this is how it is and Dion Fortune and shit. That's We're not learning the lesson. The lesson is you don't know, you won't know, just experience. I hate saying it like that because I really get turned off when I hear someone say, "This is you're here for the experience. You're here to train as a." I don't want to hear any of that shit, man. When you're here and you're dealing with it, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. And you can either be present within that fact that it's not pleasant much of the time, or you can start to be delusional in a sense. Like if your experience here is a good one, nice. That's really awesome. But my thought, my offering to that is that you are ignoring aspects of this place, even maybe just potentially aspects of it that aren't yours. If you can look at this place and view it as all good or well intentioned, then you are ignoring other people's plights. You're ignoring other people's experiences, right? It's very, I don't know, very self-focused, and I think that's one of the things that people are kind of misinterpreting from some of the philosophical things that are coming out right now. A lot of it's very beautiful, but if you're not careful, you'll interpret that to be nothing else matters but you. Nothing else matters but self. And that may be true on a level of what reality actually is, but that's a fallacy that you can't afford to run with when you're here. You can't afford to run with the concept of I am the only thing that exists, because I can touch this bedspread. I can touch the chair that I sit at when I'm working. Like, that in itself disproves that while you are here. These are tangible things, and that expands into the entirety of existence while on this plane. So there are, I get the alchemy, mental alchemy. You're trying to understand the self, and you're trying to understand your capabilities and powers within this place, but people are taking it way overboard and misguiding each other. It's kind of creepy, actually. um you know it's it's a very thin line. It's a very thin line from my vantage, that people are just completely stepping past stepping past that line and saying, you know what, whatever I believe is true, whatever I believe is law. And it's dangerous, and it's being kind of like subverted and used to confuse everyone. I saw I like to pay attention to like TikTok video compilations, not because I believe in them, because I like to see what people are telling each other. And I saw within one of them a man who is very clearly into vampires, specifically Blade. And within the video, you know, there's, I think, maybe three or four of them kind of piled in together in this compilation. This dude very obviously says, I wanted to be an actor. He said that within the presentation that he's making. He's telling people that he is a vampire. And to be clear, I'm not stating whether or not I believe in vampires. I don't fucking know. I've never seen a vampire. I used to love the movies and shit and the lore when I was a kid. And it would make sense that there are other species here, but I've never seen one. So no, I don't know if they're vampires. Just to put that out there. Anyway, this guy is saying that he's a vampire, and he's giving out these facts, and he's like, he's a really good actor. Really, really good actor. But within him doing all of these little magic tricks and shit, and by magic tricks, I really mean video editing. Um, for instance, like he shows his fangs, right? Someone said, show us your fangs. He does the thing where you put the comment up here, and then you do a kind of like comedic, look at the camera, and then okay, and then after he does that, he does something very specific. He shows the inside of his mouth, assumably to show that there are no retractable fangs in his mouth, because that is something that you can buy. They use them in movies all the time. Once he shows the inside of his mouth, he does something unnecessary. He gets up and goes to another room on camera. Camera's still running. Now, an untrained editor, or a person that is not trained to edit video would say, okay, well, there's nothing suspicious there. But if you know how editing works, you need a flag, meaning something to take the attention off of what you're about to fake, like getting up and walking to a new room. Within that motion, you can do a quick cut. You can do a quick cut where you start off walking without retractable fangs in your mouth, and then at some point you put in retractable fangs, you walk again, and then you cut them together to look seamless. Now you have retractable fangs in your mouth, you can show the fucking fangs. These are dumb things. And it's not to say that, like, for the purposes of entertainment, that's fine. But there are people that believe this man is a vampire now, right? And I guess that I'm not trying to make it seem like that's such a huge deal, but that is a huge, huge section of what is being consumed on TikTok is people confusing and lying to each other about things. And many times, for me, it's just like, not just with the vampire, this is just an example, but with the vampire thing, fly. Show me you flying in front of a bunch of people. Go drink someone on video, right? Like, it's always these things that you can fake, and then they just have to be like, well, if you don't believe me, that's your own thing. And it's like, all right, well, yeah, I don't, because you're not proving anything. You're using, misinformation, disinformation, magic tricks, AI video. Like, people are using so many tactics, and I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it is paid misinformation, or paid stuff to get people to dissociate and not really care about what they can see and what they are experiencing in their own lives. Which is That's why I keep saying, like, these laws that people say exist for the universe, they don't. They're suggestions. Some of them are laws, but it's like physical, scientific laws. Others, it's just kind of like, yeah, maybe sometimes, like, opposites attract sometimes, but then other times they don't. So that's not a law. If we're being literal, you can break laws, but that's not. I don't feel like that's what they mean when they say laws of the universe. They say that you're bound to the 12, and it's like, you can be, and you also cannot be. There are others that walk around this place that potentially don't. They don't have to really worry about things outside of some of the interpretations. I mean, maybe even vibration they don't have to worry about. I don't know. It's kind of like the vampire thing. I would have to see that happen, but I'm just not convinced that there are laws to whatever this place is. All of my experience with laws have been very malleable. People doing whatever the fuck they want with stuff. Um, you know, there's parts of this place that are very, very much tangible, and have to stay within the I guess guidelines, or within the physical, chemical laws of how this place works. But even that, like, things change. Like, the weather is different now. The sun seems different now. The moon is weird now. Those would, I would think, constitute things that people in the past viewed as changing, but not, right. Like, they have the potential to change, but not very quickly. All that shit changed real fast, to a point where, I guess not fast enough for people to not be able to not notice it, because there are plenty of people that seem like, yeah, that's the moon. What about it? Well, it's upside down. It's doing a thing that it has never done in my entire life, but it is still there. You are correct. Some of us notice, some of us don't. But I think it's dangerous for us to, like, ignore outliers, to ignore things that happen that are significant, and most people ignore them. But then there's this huge group of people on the internet that are like, "Hey, look, a werewolf." A werewolf. And then it's like, that just looks like a dog though. It's not even like walking. And they're like, but it is. There's a video of I guess a couple or something like that, and they come across a tree stump that looks really cool. It's like a really majestic looking tree stump. There are literally no moving creatures on or around this tree stump, and they just say the words, fairies live there. And that went viral on the internet. Why? There were no fairies in the video. It was just a tree stump with little holes in it. And they said fairies live there. I think I've talked about that before. That really got on my nerves. Like, what the fuck? You know? I don't know, man. I'm tired, right? I think that's like a pretty consistent theme of me talking is I'm tired. I'm tired of much of this place. It's very silly, and ignorant and kind of dumb. That's dark though, which, I mean, that's not. I'm not doing that. I'm just commenting on it, I guess. Uh, the homies are in the chat. Matrix Break is here. Infinity's here. Yeah, man. Sorry to be a bummer. Great Deception's here. Um, I just I don't have the capacity for dumb shit anymore. Like, and don't get me wrong, I earlier in my travels, I love mystical things. I love fantastical things. I wanted much of these things to be real. And they're possible. I'm not saying that they're not possible. I'm just saying I'm really tired of people talking about things and then not, like, they're just insisting. They're the fucking Family Guy. It insists on itself. Uh, they just insist upon a thing and tell you that it's real. And I don't really like that. People make fun of Abrahamic religious people for having faith in something that they can't show tangibly, or that they have very little, like, proof of, if any, really, other than a book that was just written by dudes. People make fun of those people, right? But then you tell me about fairies and vampires and Nephilim and Anunnaki, and you haven't seen any of that either. It's just kind of silly to me to make fun of, like, we're all just doing the same high school shit that we think we've grown past. And I'm trying to make a real effort to not do that anymore. I just don't really believe in anything much past what I've experienced specifically, which does include some fantastical shit. Like, whatever. That's why we have a show that we do sometimes, which is the dream, because dreams are fucking weird. Weird shit happens when you go to sleep. Sleep is just a word. We don't know what that is. All we know is our body shuts down and our mind does not, and we just do shit. We don't even understand what that is. That's very cool and also very creepy to me. That's a real thing. I know that that's a real thing. I don't know that it's a dream. That's a placeholder that we've given it, but stuff happens when you sign out for the day. Um, there's little. I guess that's not little. There's other little shit too though, that those are real things that do happen. You can say, most people can say, yeah, that I've experienced that. Deja vu or deja reve, also a thing that seems to be some kind of weird clue into what this is also. But none of us really know. We just kind of like are on various levels of insisting to other people on what it is. Um, I don't know. I guess this became babbling, but there are no laws, dude. There's a couple of things that are very, very consistent. Even, vibration. I'm sure that there are beings now or have existed before that weren't bound to those laws of the universe, including vibration. If someone truly understood how to manipulate vibration with their mind or even with their body, if they had some kind of mutation, I don't know. Anyway, um, it's just we don't know, and I I'm losing kind of my patience with those that feel like they know. If you're speaking in terms of like wonder and experimentation, I like that. I dig that, you know. But there most people are just kind of like talking to hear themselves speak. The whole the concept of the all-knowing yogi has spread throughout the internet. the the self-taught moderately read alchemist. I guess I'm being a hater, dude. I don't know. That shit's annoying to me though. I guess it's annoying to me because we could do shit to like if we really took the concept of not knowing what this is seriously, like just a nice little chunk of beings, if we took that seriously, then we could start like doing weird experiments and shit, trying to figure out like, can we break it? Can we break this? Can we move through it? Can we move to other places? Like, you know what I mean? I think that's kind of what some of those conspiracies are about, like Large Hadron Colliders. I think that's them trying to break it, right? I mean, maybe it does do some weird shit to this place, but what if they're not fucking evil fucks? What if they're making fun of people by doing those opening ceremonies and like having Shiva and fake sacrifices in their courtyard? What if they're just making fun of you, you know? And they're really just like, I don't know what this is. Let's try to break it. What if they're just bored? You know? What if they're just fucking bored? Because I am. Is that so weird? I don't know, dude. I don't think that they're trying to Mandela us. I don't think they give a fuck about who gives a fuck about that. Maybe it is a thing happening as a result, and that would be interesting to some of the people that are doing the work there, whatever that work is. I don't even know if that's a thing. You know, I haven't seen a Large Hadron Collider. I've seen lots of pictures. Pictures and video, they don't those things don't mean anything to me anymore. You can fake all of that, and I don't think that that's like a new development. You've been able to fake video, you've been able to fake pictures the entire like well before we were alive. Photoshop is just a name. You could change. There's a Mind Unveiled video that pretty specifically just talks about like photo manipulation and how long that has been in existence. Like a lot of the old pictures that you have seen, maybe some of them are even famous from textbooks and from popular books. Those are fake pictures. They do a really good job of breaking that down and even showing how they overlapped film. There's many different techniques to faking pictures and video. So like the more that I find out about this place, the more that I realize that I don't know shit. No one knows anything and we're all just very desperate to feel like we do. That's becoming almost like a theme of my channel. And I'm sorry if that's boring or a bummer or something. I do find that to be interesting though, because it kind of leaves a lot to the mind to kind of be like, well, then what the fuck am I doing? Well, what am I doing here? Who brought me here? Did I bring me here? I don't feel like I would do that. Genuinely, I don't like it. I don't I don't think I would bring me here. You know? Uh, and that's interesting and funny to me in a dark way, I guess. It seems that's offensive to some though, because you can, you know, you can do weird shit to people for the things that they just kind of like bring up as possibilities or potentials, whether they say they believe it or not. I I do still think that people should look into the 12 laws. It's just like biblical text. I don't think it's bad to read biblical text or any of the religious or philosophical texts. I've read many of them, and you do get something from it. It is still alchemy. It's still mental alchemy. It can still transform your perception of this place, your perception of self, your perception of what you're doing here and what you can do here, and all that stuff. I just think people are taking everything so literally. Like, the Bible was never meant to be taken literally. It's quite literally parables, right? It's pretty literally parables. Um, Same thing with the rest of them. Some of them are more upfront about the fact that, like, hey, this isn't literal. I'm just like, I'm I'm a poet saying poetic things to you in the form of speak or text, and your mind can take those things the way that I mean them, or they can be transformed into new, even more sometimes beautiful things. Like when I listened to the Deftones when I was a kid, I thought I understood what the words the singer Chino was saying. And then as the internet became more accessible and people found, the many things, the many reasons to put things on it as they did, one of those things is lyrics. So now you can go find whatever lyrics you want for whatever band or project or, uh, piece of music you want. And what Chino wrote and what I came up with in my mind are very different. I prefer my versions. Not weird? I prefer what I thought he was saying versus what he's actually saying. So I still, when I sing Deftones songs in the shower or when I'm listening to it while I'm working or whatever, I'm still singing my versions of Deftones songs versus what Shino actually said, because it holds much more meaning. It makes more sense, in this experience that I've had, this realm. It means so much more to me than what his experience led him to write. I think that's beautiful. I think that's really cool to be able to have that malleable maneuverability within something so emotion driven. I think that's what we need to do with the laws of the universe. We don't understand them. They're not laws, dude. Stop. Everything doesn't need to be laws. Everything doesn't need to be so rigid and stiff. You know, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, suggestion to me is much more healthy than law. There are some things that you probably won't get around, but then that's that's like another principle of this place is the fact that one thing can be so consistently means that there are other options, and even that is not all the time. I don't. I think some of that shit is just kind of goofy, like multiverses. I even after some of the videos I've made in the past talking about multiverses and shit, can't get behind it. It just I don't. That's not what my experience reflects by any means. And you know what? Infinite put out a video, I think like yesterday. I think I watched it this morning, talking about how the astral realm that everyone is so obsessed with and like bragging to each other with. That's just an extension of this. Me and him have talked about it before. It makes all the sense in the world to me. Like, it doesn't feel completely different. There are times when I've dreamt that did feel very different. That wasn't whatever the astrals are. Feels completely different. We've done some shows together. I think I've done a couple myself. There's different playlists on my channel. One of them talks about dreams. If you're interested in dreams, I am also very interested. Go check some of those videos out because we just kind of have this blanket term for shit all the time. Astrals, dreams. Like, we don't know any of that to be true. We're just giving ourselves comfort within the names of stuff. And I also believe that whatever astral place, realm, whatever you want to call it, that seems very much to just be like an extension of this. And if you think about it, that makes sense because your mind is here. Your mind is here. So, can we really say that anybody has left or escaped this place, even in their mind? Because I can't say that with any, you know, with assuredness. People die, I guess. We can call that. That's the word we've given that also. Um, you leave a body. In a sense, you could say it's just like permanently astral projecting, right? That's like another way to say that is permanently astral projecting. Um, I hope that that's not the case. I hope you don't just end up there and you're just kind of like doing the same shit. Um, but I do think that if you are aware, all of these studies that I've done is basically just saying over and over again, what you are aware of gives you your sovereignty. What you are capable of doing is up to you and your knowledge. If you are content with what you are given as knowledge, that is what you will be capable of. If you are not content with that, as many of us are not, then you will travel. You will start to study and research, and you'll find roadblocks, you'll find hurdles, you'll find, false walls, you'll find dead ends, you'll find all of these things. But throughout that traveling, throughout those travels, you will find truth, even if just for yourself. And when you do find that, it will expand your capability outside of this place once you're done with this place. That's what I that's what I have interpreted a lot of what I've found to mean repetitively. So, I don't know. That's the way I'm choosing to apply it. I don't know what I'm necessarily getting at, other than it's annoying to me that people say 12 laws, and you're just trading one thing for another. You're trading the 10 commandments for the 12 laws. That's goofy. I love you. I'm going to go do something else.